I didn't know my phone number had been blocked for 3 months, not until I got a voicemail at 11:34 p.m. on a Tuesday that made me drop my coffee mug on the kitchen floor. It was my grandson, 6 years old, sobbing so hard he could barely breathe. "Grandma," he whispered, "I miss you. Mommy says you don't love me anymore, but I know that's not true. Please come back. My name is Helen. I'm 64 years old." And this is the story of how my daughter-in-law erased me from my grandson's life, and how a secret phone call from a terrified child saved us both. The voicemail came on March 23, 2021. I'd spent 93 days thinking my son and his family were just busy. Too busy to return calls, too busy to answer texts, too busy for Sunday dinners that had been our tradition for 8 years. I'd told myself it was normal. Young families get overwhelmed. They need space. I was wrong. They weren't busy. They were gone. And I didn't even know I'd been cut off. The voicemail was only 47 seconds long, but I listened to it 19 times that night. Each time, I heard something new, the way Ethan's voice cracked when he said my name. The sound of a door opening in the background, then his panicked whisper, "I have to go." The click, then silence. He'd used his mother's phone, snuck it somehow, called the number he'd memorized from all those times I'd made him recite it in case of emergency. He was 6 years old, and he'd risked getting in trouble just to tell his grandmother he missed her. I sat on my kitchen floor, surrounded by broken ceramic and cold coffee, holding my phone like it was made of glass, and I knew something was terribly wrong. Because the Ethan I knew, the boy who'd spent every Saturday at my house learning to bake cookies, who called me every Sunday night to tell me about his week, who hugged me so tight it hurt, that boy wouldn't have to sneak a phone call to his grandmother, unless someone had convinced him he wasn't allowed to love me anymore. I tried calling my son immediately. It went straight to a recording. "The number you have reached is no longer in service." But it was his number, the same one I'd called 100 times. I tried texting. The messages showed delivered but never read. I tried his email. Nothing. It was like they'd vanished. But they hadn't vanished. They'd blocked me. And I was about to discover that this wasn't an accident or a misunderstanding. This was deliberate, calculated. And it had been happening right under my nose for 2 years, while I'd smiled and stayed quiet and tried to be the good grandmother who didn't interfere. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start from the beginning. Because this story doesn't start with a blocked number. It starts with a son I raised alone, and a woman who saw his love for his mother as a threat to be eliminated. I had Ryan when I was 23. His father left 6 months into the pregnancy, just packed a bag one Saturday morning and said, "I'm not ready to be a dad." I never heard from him again. No child support, no birthday cards, nothing. So I raised Ryan alone. I worked as a dental hygienist, steady hours, decent pay, benefits. It wasn't glamorous, but it was enough. We had a small apartment in a good school district. Ryan had everything he needed, and most of what he wanted. We were a team, just the two of us against the world. Ryan was a sweet kid, sensitive, thoughtful. The kind of boy who noticed when I was tired and would make me tea without being asked. He'd leave little notes around the house. "You're the best mom ever. Thank you for my lunch. I love you infinity." I saved every single note. I still have them in a shoebox in my closet. When Ryan was 16, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, stage 2. I had surgery on a Monday in September 14th, 2009. I still remember Ryan sitting beside my hospital bed, holding my hand, telling me he'd take care of everything at home. And he did. He learned to do laundry, cook basic meals. He kept the house clean. He was 16 years old, and he stepped up like an adult because that's who he was. I beat the cancer. Clean margins, no chemo needed, just radiation and 5 years of medication. Ryan never left my side through any of it. After high school, he went to community college, lived at home to save money. We had dinner together every night, talked about everything, his classes, his friends, his dreams. He wanted to work in IT. Make good money so he could take care of me the way I'd taken care of him. "Mom," he'd say, "when I get my first big job, I'm buying you a house. With a garden. You always wanted a garden." He got his IT certification in 2015. Landed a job at a tech company downtown. Good salary, benefits. He moved into his own apartment that fall, but he still came home every Sunday for dinner. We'd cook together, watch a movie, just hang out. Those Sundays were sacred to both of us. Then, in March 2016, he met Vanessa. He was nervous when he first told me about her. We were making spaghetti his favorite, and he kept stirring the sauce even though it was already perfect. "Mom," he finally said, "I met someone. Her name's Vanessa. I really like her." I was thrilled. Of course I was. I wanted Ryan to find love, build a life, have everything I'd hoped for him. "Tell me about her," I said, setting down my spoon, giving him my full attention. He talked for 20 minutes. She was beautiful, smart, worked in marketing, came from a big family, 2 sisters, 1 brother, parents who'd been married 37 years. "She's amazing, Mom. I think you're really going to like her." I met Vanessa 3 weeks later. Ryan brought her to Sunday dinner. She was polished, perfect hair, designer jeans, expensive purse. She smiled a lot, laughed at my jokes, helped with dishes, said all the right things. But there was something in the way she looked around my house, like she was cataloging everything: the worn couch, the outdated kitchen, the family photos covering every wall. Her smile never quite reached her eyes when she looked at those photos, dozens of them, all of Ryan and me. Our entire history on display. "You two are very close," she said. It wasn't exactly a question, more like an observation. Or maybe an accusation. "We're all each other has," I said simply. She smiled again, that cold smile. How nice. Ryan didn't notice. He was glowing, happy. So I pushed my unease aside. I told myself I was being paranoid, overprotective, the stereotypical mother who thinks no woman is good enough for her son. Over the next year, things shifted gradually. So gradually, I didn't see it happening until it was already done. First, Ryan started missing Sunday dinners. "Vanessa's family has this thing," he'd say. Or, "We have plans with her friends." Once became twice became monthly, then every other month. When I mentioned I missed our Sundays, Ryan got defensive. "Mom, I have a girlfriend now. I can't spend every Sunday with you." "That's not normal." Not normal. The phrase stung. Our Sundays had always been normal to us. But Vanessa had a different definition of normal, and Ryan was learning her language. They got engaged in December 2016, Ryan told me over the phone. Not in person. Over the phone. "Hey, Mom, guess what? I proposed." Vanessa said yes. I forced joy into my voice. "That's wonderful, sweetheart. I'm so happy for you." "Thanks, Mom. We're thinking next summer for the wedding. I'll let you know the date once we book the venue." He'd let me know, like I was a distant relative. Like I hadn't raised him alone. Like I hadn't been his entire family for 29 years. But I swallowed the hurt. I smiled through the phone, because that's what mothers do. The wedding was set for July 15th, 2017. I offered to help with planning. Vanessa said, "That's so sweet, Helen, but my mom's really into this stuff. She's got it covered." I offered to contribute financially. "Oh, we're good," Vanessa said. "Ryan's been saving and my parents are helping too." "But thanks." I wasn't invited to the bridal shower. Found out about it through Facebook. 30 women. I wasn't one of them. I was invited to the wedding, though. Seated in the 4th row. Behind Vanessa's parents, her grandparents, and her extended family. The only other person in my row was Ryan's old high school teacher, who'd been invited out of politeness. I wore a lavender dress. Spent $200 I didn't really have because I wanted to look nice for my son's wedding. Vanessa's mother wore lavender too. When she saw me, her face tightened. Vanessa pulled Ryan aside. I saw him glance at me, then look away quickly. No one said anything to me directly, but I understood the message. I'd done something wrong by wearing the same color as the mother of the bride. Never mind that no one had told me what colors to avoid. At the reception, I sat at table 9, far from the head table, with people I'd never met. Vanessa's co-workers. They were polite but confused when I introduced myself as Ryan's mother. One woman actually said, "Oh, I thought his mom had passed away. Vanessa always talks about his family like it's just her family now. I left after dinner, before the dancing, before the cake cutting. I told Ryan I wasn't feeling well. He hugged me briefly, distracted, and said, "Thanks for coming, Mom. Thanks for coming." To my only child's wedding, like I was doing him a favor. They bought a house 6 months later. Ryan called to tell me, "We got a great deal, Mom. 3 bedrooms. Nice yard. You should come see it sometime. Sometime. Not come help us move. Not come for dinner this weekend. Sometime." I visited once. Vanessa gave me a tour. The house was beautiful, modern, clean. And there wasn't a single photo of me anywhere. Not one. But there were a dozen photos of Vanessa's family. Her parents, her siblings, her grandparents, her cousins. In what used to be my son's life, I had been edited out. Then, in May 2018, Ryan called with news that made me cry happy tears for the first time in months. "Mom, we're having a baby. You're going to be a grandma." A grandma! I was going to be a grandma. Maybe this would change things. Maybe a baby would bring us back together. Maybe Vanessa would soften once she became a mother and understood the bond between parent and child. I had no idea how wrong I was. Because Vanessa didn't soften, she weaponized that baby. And by the time I understood what was happening, I'd already lost 3 years of my grandson's life. Ethan was born on January 8, 2019, 7 pounds, 4 ounces, dark hair like Ryan, blue eyes like his mother. I met him when he was 2 days old. Ryan brought him to my house wrapped in a blue blanket with little elephants on it. "Mom, meet your grandson," Ryan said, placing Ethan in my arms. I looked down at that tiny face and felt something crack open, in my chest. Love, pure, uncomplicated, overwhelming love. This was my grandson, my family. My second chance at building the close, loving family I'd always wanted. "He's perfect," I whispered. "Vanessa's pretty tired," Ryan said after only 20 minutes. "I should get back, but we'll visit again soon. Maybe you can babysit once she goes back to work." I treasured that hope. Babysitting meant trust, meant being included, meant my grandson would know me. Vanessa went back to work when Ethan was 12 weeks old, but I didn't get to babysit. "We found a great daycare," Ryan explained when I asked. "Very educational, good for socialization. I could watch him," I offered, "for free. I'd love to spend time with him. Daycare's better, Mom. He needs to be around other kids." So Ethan went to daycare 5 days a week while I sat alone in my house, wishing I could hold my grandson. I saw Ethan every few months, brief visits. Always at their house, never mine. Vanessa was always there, hovering, watching, interrupting whenever Ethan and I started to bond. If Ethan crawled toward me, Vanessa would scoop him up. "Time for a diaper change," she'd say cheerfully. If I tried to feed him, she'd take over. "He's picky about textures, let me do it." If I brought a toy, she'd examine it carefully. "Oh, this has small parts. Not safe for his age. Maybe save it for when he's older." I was being managed, controlled, kept at arm's length from my own grandson. But it was subtle enough that I couldn't complain without sounding paranoid. When Ethan turned 1, I wasn't invited to his birthday party. I found out it had happened through Facebook photos. 30 people, balloons, a cake shaped like a train. Ethan covered in frosting, laughing, surrounded by Vanessa's entire family. I called Ryan. "Why wasn't I invited to Ethan's birthday?" "It was just family, Mom. I'm family. I'm his grandmother." "I know, but Vanessa's parents were hosting, and space was limited. And look, it was just easier this way. Easier. It was easier to exclude me than to deal with whatever problem Vanessa had with my presence. Ryan, what's going on? Why do I feel like you're pushing me away?" "I'm not pushing you away, Mom. You're being dramatic. We're just busy. We have a kid now." "Things are different." Different. That word again. Different meant I didn't matter anymore. But I kept trying. I sent gifts for every holiday. Toys, books, clothes. Sometimes Ryan would text a quick, "thanks." More often, I'd see the gifs in the background of Facebook photos, unopened or still in packaging. When Ethan was 2, I started asking to babysit on weekends. Just for a few hours, I'd say. Give you 2 a break. Go on a date. We're good, Mom. Vanessa's mom watches him when we need it. Vanessa's mom. Of course, she got to be the grandma. She got to build memories with Ethan. She got to be the one he called when he was scared or excited or wanted to show off a new trick. I got nothing. Then something shifted. In late 2020, Ryan started calling more often. Short calls. Awkward. Like he was checking items off a list. Just wanted to see how you're doing, Mom. I'm fine, I'd say. How's Ethan? He's great. Growing so fast. I'd love to see him. Yeah, we should plan something. But we never did. In January 2021, I decided to take action. I drove to their house unannounced on a Saturday morning. I knew it was risky. I knew Vanessa wouldn't like it, but I hadn't seen my grandson in 4 months. I needed to see him. I knocked on the door. Ryan answered. He looked shocked, then uncomfortable. Mom, what are you doing here? I came to see Ethan. I brought him a book. I held up the picture book I'd bought his favorite characters. This isn't a good time, Ryan said. He didn't invite me in. Just stood in the doorway, blocking my view inside. Ryan, I'm his grandmother. I just want to see him for 10 minutes. You can't just show up, Mom. We have plans. Then let me take him for an hour. We'll go to the park. I'll bring him back. No. His voice was firm, final. You should have called first. I did call. You didn't answer. Then you should have texted. I texted too. You didn't respond. He sighed, ran his hand through his hair, a gesture I recognized from when he was a boy and didn't want to disappoint me but was going to anyway. Look, Mom, Vanessa's not comfortable with unannounced visits. It stresses her out. You need to respect our boundaries. Boundaries. That word. Vanessa's word. What boundaries, Ryan? I'm not asking for anything unreasonable. I just want to be part of my grandson's life. And you are. But on our terms. Our schedule. Behind him I heard Ethan's voice. Daddy, who's here? My heart jumped. That's Ethan. Can I just say hello? Not today, Mom. I'll call you, okay? We'll set up a time. He closed the door. Gently. But he closed it. And I stood on that porch, holding a children's book, feeling like I'd just been told my presence was a problem that needed to be managed. I cried the whole drive home. Ryan didn't call to set up a time. I waited 2 weeks. Then I called him. It went to voicemail. I left a message. Ryan, it's Mom. I just want to know when I can see Ethan. Please call me back. He didn't. I tried again a week later. Voicemail again. Then I started texting. Gentle, non-accusatory messages. Hi, sweetheart. Just checking in. Hope Ethan's doing well. Would love to hear from you when you have time. The messages showed delivered, but no response. Valentine's Day came and went. I sent Ethan a card with a $20 bill inside. Never got a thank you. Easter. Same thing. A basket of candy and small toys. Nothing. It was like screaming into a void. In early March, I decided to try a different approach. I called Vanessa's work number, found it on the company website. She answered on the second ring. This is Vanessa. Vanessa. Hi. It's Helen. Ryan's mom. A pause. Then carefully. Hi, Helen. I'm having trouble reaching Ryan. I was hoping you could help me figure out a time to see Ethan. It's been months and, Helen. Her voice was professional. Cold. Ryan and I have discussed this. We feel that your relationship with Ethan needs to have clear boundaries. What boundaries? I'm his grandmother, and we appreciate that. But we've noticed some concerning behaviors. My stomach dropped. What behaviors? The unannounced visit, for one. The constant calls and texts. It feels like pressure. Like you're not respecting our autonomy as parents. I just want to see my grandson. And you will. When we feel the time is right. When we're ready to facilitate that relationship in a healthy way. Vanessa, please, he's 2 years old. He needs to know his grandmother. What he needs is parents who set healthy boundaries and protect him from toxic dynamics. Toxic dynamics. She'd just called me toxic. I'm not toxic, I said, voice shaking. I'm his grandmother. I've never done anything to hurt him or you or Ryan. Your perception of your behavior and its impact don't align, Helen. Ryan's in therapy now, working through a lot of issues related to enmeshment with you. Until he's in a healthier place, we need space. He's in therapy? For what? That's between him and his therapist, but the therapist agrees that space from you would be beneficial. The room spun. My son was in therapy, talking about me, being told I was the problem. And I hadn't even known. Can I at least talk to Ryan about this? Ryan needs to focus on his healing right now. So no, I don't think that's a good idea. I'm sorry, Helen, but this is what's best for our family. She hung up. I sat with my phone in my hand for an hour, trying to process what had just happened. My daughter-in-law had just told me I was toxic, that my son was in therapy because of me, that I needed to stay away from my grandson for his own good. And the worst part? I had no recourse, no way to fight back, because they hadn't done anything illegal. They were just excluding me. And that was their right as parents. I tried calling Ryan one more time. The call didn't go through. The recording said, "The number you have reached is no longer in service." But it was his number. I knew it was, which meant only one thing. He'd blocked me. I tried texting. The message showed delivered but never read. Blocked there too. I tried email. It bounced back. Blocked. They'd blocked me. Completely. Every method of contact. I'd been erased from their lives as thoroughly as if I'd died. I spent the next 3 weeks in a fog. I went to work, came home, stared at photos of Ryan and Ethan, wondered what I'd done wrong, how I'd failed so completely that my own son thought I was toxic enough to cut off without explanation. Then, on March 23rd at 11:34 p.m., my phone lit up with a voicemail notification from a number I didn't recognize. I almost deleted it, probably spam, I thought, but something made me listen, and when I heard Ethan's voice, small, scared, crying, saying, "Grandma, I miss you. Mommy says you don't love me anymore, but I know that's not true. Please come back, everything changed. Because this wasn't about me anymore. This wasn't about my hurt feelings or my relationship with Ryan. This was about a 6-year-old child who'd been told his grandmother didn't love him, who'd been lied to, who'd been denied a relationship with someone who loved him more than anything, and I was done being quiet. I played that voicemail 23 times before sunrise. Each time, I heard something that broke me a little more. The fear in Ethan's voice, the confusion, the desperate hope that I'd hear him, the sound of him trying to be brave, even though he was clearly terrified. "I miss you, Grandma. Mommy says you don't love me anymore." What kind of person tells a child that his grandmother doesn't love him? What kind of person uses love as a weapon against a 6-year-old? I wanted to drive to their house immediately, bang on the door, demand to see my grandson, demand answers. But I knew that would only make things worse. If they'd blocked me and convinced Ethan I didn't love him, showing up would just give Vanessa ammunition to paint me as unstable, dangerous, exactly as toxic as she'd claimed. So instead, I did something I should have done months ago. I called a lawyer. Her name was Patricia Morgan, a family law attorney I found through a Google search at 6 a.m. on Wednesday, March 24th. Her website mentioned grandparents' rights. I called the office as soon as it opened at 9, Law Offices of Patricia Morgan, the receptionist said. "I need to speak to someone about grandparents' rights," I said. My voice was steady, calm. I'd spent the night preparing for this. My daughter-in-law has cut me off from my grandson, and I just received a voicemail from him begging me to come back. I can schedule a consultation for next week. I need to see someone today. Please. My grandson is 6 years old, and he's being told I don't love him. He's scared. I have proof. I need to know what my options are. There was a pause. Then, "Let me check with Miss Morgan." 15 minutes later, I was in Patricia Morgan's office. She was in her 50s, sharp-eyed, wearing a gray suit. She gestured to a chair across from her desk. "Tell me everything," she said. So I did. I told her about Ryan and Vanessa, about the gradual exclusion, the blocked numbers, the therapy, the accusation of being toxic. And finally, I played her Ethan's voicemail. Patricia's expression didn't change, but I saw her jaw tighten when Ethan said, "Mommy says you don't love me anymore." When the voicemail ended, Patricia sat back. "How long has it been since you've seen your grandson?" 5 months. January 16th. I showed up unannounced and Ryan wouldn't let me in. And before, I saw him maybe once every 2 or 3 months, always supervised. Never alone, never at my house. Have you ever harmed this child? Never. I've never even raised my voice to him. Have you been arrested? Any history of substance abuse, mental illness, anything that could be used against you? No. Nothing. I'm a dental hygienist. I've worked at the same practice for 22 years. Clean record. No drugs, no alcohol problems. I had cancer 15 years ago, but I've been in remission since. Patricia nodded, taking notes. And your son, does he have full custody? As far as I know, yes. He and Vanessa are married. No divorce, no custody issues. Here's the situation, Patricia said, setting down her pen. In this state, grandparents can petition for visitation rights, but the bar is high. You have to prove that denying you access is harmful to the child's well-being. The fact that they've blocked you and told the child you don't love him, that's concerning. That could constitute parental alienation. Can I use the voicemail? Absolutely. That voicemail is evidence that the child is being harmed by this estrangement. A 6-year-old doesn't secretly call his grandmother and sob about missing her unless something is very wrong. But you need to understand, this will get ugly. Your son and daughter-in-law will fight this. They'll paint you as the problem. They'll dig up anything they can to make you look unstable. I don't care, I said. That's my grandson. He thinks I don't love him. He's crying for me. I can't just let that go. Patricia studied me for a moment. Then she nodded. All right. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to file a petition for grandparent visitation. We'll include the voicemail as evidence. We'll document the pattern of exclusion. And we're going to request a psychological evaluation to determine if this alienation is harming Ethan. How long will this take? Months. Maybe longer. Family court moves. Slowly. But in the meantime, we can try mediation. Sometimes the threat of court is enough to bring parents to the table. And if they refuse mediation, then we go to court. And we fight. I hired her that day, paid a $3,500 retainer I couldn't really afford. But this wasn't about money. This was about my grandson. This was about a little boy who needed to know his grandmother loved him. Patricia filed the petition on March 29, 2021. Ryan and Vanessa were served on April 2nd. Ryan called me that night. First time I'd heard his voice in months, he was furious. "What the hell, Mom? You're suing us?" "I'm petitioning for visitation with my grandson." "There's a difference." "No, there's not. You're taking us to court. Do you have any idea how crazy this makes you look?" "Ryan, I got a voicemail from Ethan. He's crying. He thinks I don't love him." Vanessa told him, "I don't love him." "How is that okay?" "She didn't tell him that." "Yes, she did." "I have the voicemail, Ryan. He says it himself. Mommy says you don't love me anymore." Those were his exact words. Silence. Long enough that I thought he'd hung up. "I don't know what you're talking about," he finally said, but his voice had changed, less angry, more uncertain. "Ethan called me, used Vanessa's phone. He snuck it somehow. Left me a voicemail begging me to come back. A 6-year-old child, Ryan, your son, my grandson. He's so desperate to see me that he risked getting in trouble just to call." More silence. "I didn't know he did that," Ryan said quietly. "What else don't you know? What else has Vanessa been doing behind your back?" "Don't blame Vanessa. This was a mutual decision, to set boundaries with you. Boundaries are one thing. Telling my grandson I don't love him is abuse. She wouldn't do that. Then why did Ethan say it? Why is it on the voicemail?" "I don't know, Mom. Maybe he misunderstood something. Maybe Vanessa has been poisoning him against me the same, a way she's poisoned you. Think about it, Ryan. When did you start believing I was toxic? When did you start thinking our close relationship was enmeshment? Was it before or after Vanessa? This isn't about Vanessa. Yes, it is. Everything is about Vanessa. She's the one who decided I couldn't babysit. She's the one who excluded me from Ethan's birthday. She's the one who told you I was the problem. And you believed her because you love her and you want her to be happy. But Ryan, what about Ethan? What about his happiness? He wants his grandmother. He's crying for me. Doesn't that matter? I heard something crack in his voice. Of course it matters. Then drop this. Let me see him. Let me be his grandmother. I'm not asking for custody. I'm not asking to interfere. I just want to be part of his life. I need to talk to Vanessa. No. You need to listen to your son. Listen to Ethan. He's telling you what he needs. Are you going to ignore him too? Ryan hung up. But something had shifted. I'd heard it in his voice. Doubt. The first crack in the wall Vanessa had built between us. 2 weeks later, I got an email from Patricia. They've agreed to mediation. We're scheduled for May 14th at 2 p.m. This is good news, Helen. It means they're willing to negotiate. May 14th felt like a lifetime away. But I prepared. Patricia coached me. Don't be emotional. Don't accuse. Just state facts. You love your grandson. You've been a good grandmother. The child is suffering from this estrangement. That's all that matters. The mediation was held in a conference room at the courthouse. Neutral territory. A mediator, a woman named Susan Chen, sat at the head of the table. Patricia and I sat on one side. Ryan, Vanessa, and their lawyer sat on the other. I hadn't seen Ryan in person since January. He looked tired, thinner. He wouldn't meet my eyes. Vanessa looked exactly the same. Perfect hair, perfect makeup, cold smile. She looked at me like I was something unpleasant she'd found on the bottom of her shoe. Susan opened the session. We're here to see if we can reach an agreement regarding Helen's relationship with her grandson, Ethan. Let's start with each side explaining their position. Patricia spoke first. Laid out my case. Documented the pattern of exclusion. Played Ethan's voicemail. This child is suffering. He believes his grandmother doesn't love him. He's been denied a relationship for no valid reason. We're asking for reasonable visitation. 2 Saturdays a month, 4 hours each visit. Supervised if necessary. Just let this child know his grandmother. Vanessa's lawyer responded. My clients maintain that Helen has demonstrated concerning behaviors, boundary violations, unannounced visits, excessive contact attempts. They've acted in what they believe to be their child's best interest. What concerning behaviors? Patricia asked. Specifically, what has Helen done that's harmful? The lawyer shuffled papers. The unannounced visit in January. 1 visit. After 4 months of no contact. That's not a pattern of harassment. The constant calls and texts. Attempts to maintain contact with her grandson. Normal grandparent behavior. The lawyer paused, looked at Vanessa. Vanessa leaned over and whispered something. My clients feel that Helen's presence creates stress in their household, the lawyer continued. Because Vanessa has decided it does, Patricia said bluntly. Not because Helen has actually done anything wrong. Susan intervened. Let's focus on solutions. Ryan, I'd like to hear from you. You've been quiet. What do you want? Ryan looked up, met my eyes for the first time. I want my mom to be part of Ethan's life. I do, but I also want peace in my marriage. And Vanessa, he glanced at his wife. Vanessa struggles with my mom being around. Why? Susan asked. Vanessa jumped in. Because she's overbearing. She acts like Ryan is still a child. She doesn't. Respect that we're adults with our own family now. Can you give an example? Susan pressed. Vanessa hesitated. She has expectations. Like we should come to Sunday dinner every week. Like she's entitled to see Ethan whenever she wants. It's too much. Helen invited you to dinner once a week, Susan said. You declined. That's your right. But how does that make her overbearing? It's the pressure, the guilt trips. What guilt trips? Patricia asked. Show us a text, an email, any communication where Helen guilt-tripped you. Vanessa flushed. It's not always explicit. It's the tone, the way she looks at me. So your evidence that Helen is toxic is a feeling? Patricia said. Meanwhile, we have actual evidence that a 6-year-old child is crying for his grandmother. We have proof that you told him she doesn't love him. I never said that, Vanessa snapped. Then why did Ethan say it? I spoke for the first time. My voice was calm. Steady. Why did he use "please"? Those exact words? Mommy says you don't love me anymore. Did he make that up? Vanessa's face went red. Children misinterpret things. Or adults lie to children, Patricia said. Let me ask you directly, Vanessa. Have you told Ethan anything about why he doesn't see his grandmother anymore? I've explained that she needs space. That we all need space. And how did you explain why she needs space? I said she was going through some things. That she wasn't able to visit right now. Did you say she didn't love him? No. Did you imply it? No. Then where did he get that idea? Vanessa looked away. I don't know, but I knew. And Ryan knew too. I could see it in his face. The realization dawning, the pieces clicking into place. His wife had lied to their son, had manipulated their child to cut out his grandmother. Susan cleared her throat. Let's try to find common ground. Helen, what would you consider a reasonable visitation schedule? 2 Saturdays a month, I said. 4 hours. I'll pick him up at 10 a.m., have him back by 2 p.m. We can meet at a park if they don't want me at their house. I just want time with my grandson. That seems reasonable, Susan said, looking at Ryan and Vanessa. What do you think? Ryan opened his mouth. Vanessa cut him off. No, that's too much. Once a month. 2 hours. Supervised. Supervised by whom? Patricia asked. By me, Vanessa said. So Helen gets to spend time with her grandson while you hover and control every interaction? That's not visitation. That's performance. It's what we're comfortable with. Your comfort isn't the issue here, Patricia said. A child's well-being is. And that child is asking for his grandmother. Susan looked at the lawyers. At me. At Ryan and Vanessa. I'm going to recommend that we submit this to the court. Let a judge decide, because I don't think we're going to reach an agreement today. Wait, Ryan said. Everyone turned to look at him. Can I talk to my mom? Alone? Just for 5 minutes? Vanessa's head whipped toward him. Ryan, please, just 5 minutes. Susan nodded. Everyone else can wait in the hallway. They filed out. Vanessa shot me a look of pure hatred as she left. Then it was just me and Ryan, alone in a conference room, for the first time in over a year. Mom, he said. His voice cracked. I'm so sorry. I waited. I didn't know about the voicemail. I didn't know Ethan called you. And I didn't know Vanessa told him. I didn't know she said you didn't love him. Do you believe me now? That this isn't about boundaries? That this is about her trying to erase me? He nodded slowly. I've been in therapy, and my therapist kept asking me questions about my childhood, about you, trying to find trauma or enmeshment or something that would explain why I was so unhealthily attached to you. But Mom, I couldn't find anything, because you were a good mother. You worked hard. You loved me. You supported me. You weren't perfect, but you weren't toxic. Then why did you believe her? Because I love her, and she was so convinced, so certain that you were the problem. And her therapist, she has one too, told her that parents who raise kids alone sometimes have codependency issues, that it's common, that I needed to break free, and it sounded right. It sounded like maybe she understood something I didn't. But she was wrong. She was wrong, he whispered. And I let her convince me to hurt you, to hurt Ethan. God, Mom, he's been asking about you, for months, and we kept telling him you were busy, that you'd visit soon, but he knew we were lying. Kids always know. Tears were running down his face now. My son, my baby, finally seeing what had been done to both of us. What do you want to do? I asked gently. I want to fix this. I want you to see Ethan. I want things to go back to how they were. Can you make that happen? With Vanessa? He wiped his eyes. I don't know. She's going to be furious that I even talked to you alone. But Mom, I'm his father. I get a say in this too. And I say you get to see your grandson. Then make it happen, Ryan. Don't let me take you to court. Don't make a judge force you to do what's right. Just let me be his grandma. That's all I've ever wanted. He nodded. Okay, okay, give me a week. Let me talk to Vanessa. Let me figure this out. But Mom, you'll see him, I promise. We stood. He hugged me. And for the first time in years, it felt real, like my son was back. The mediation ended with an agreement to reconvene in 2 weeks, but Ryan was true to his word. 3 days later, he called. Saturday, he said, 10 a.m. I'll bring Ethan to your house. You'll have 4 hours, just you and him. What about Vanessa? She's not happy. But she agreed, on one condition. What condition? That you never speak to her directly again. All communication goes through me. She doesn't want to see you or talk to you. It stung, but if that's what it took to see my grandson, I'd agree to anything. Deal, I said. That Saturday, May 22nd, 2021, Ryan pulled up in front of my house at 9:58 a.m. Ethan was in the back seat. When he saw me on the porch, his whole face lit up. Grandma! He was out of the car before Ryan could even unbuckle him properly. He ran to me, threw his arms around my legs. You came back. I knelt down, pulled him into my arms. Baby, I never left. I've been here the whole time. I missed you so much. Mommy said you didn't love me anymore. My heart shattered. Again. Your mommy was wrong, sweetheart. I love you more than anything in the whole world. I will always love you. Always. Do you understand? He nodded against my shoulder. He was crying. So was I. Ryan stood by the car watching, crying too. I'll be back at 2, he said quietly. Then he got in his car and drove away, leaving me with my grandson for the first time in 5 months. Those 4 hours were magic. We baked cookies, played in the backyard, read books. Ethan told me everything about kindergarten, about his friends, about his new bike, about the dog he wanted but wasn't allowed to have. Grandma, he said as we sat on the couch eating warm chocolate chip cookies, can I come back next week? You can come back every week if you want to, I said. Promise? I promise, baby, I'm not going anywhere ever again. When Ryan came to pick him up, Ethan didn't want to leave. He clung to me. I want to stay with Grandma. You'll see her next Saturday, Ryan said gently. And the Saturday after that. Every Saturday. Really? Really. Ethan hugged me one more time. I love you, Grandma. I love you too, sweet boy. So much. After they left, I sat in my living room surrounded by cookie crumbs and toy cars and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. The Saturdays became sacred. Every single week, Ryan brought Ethan to my house at 10 a.m. and picked him up at 2 p.m. We had a routine. Baking in the morning. Lunch together. Games or crafts in the afternoon. Ethan thrived on it. He started calling me twice a week. Ryan would hand him the phone, and we'd talk about everything and nothing. But the situation with Vanessa didn't improve. If anything, it got worse. Ryan told me she was furious about the arrangement. She complained constantly, said I was undermining her authority as a mother, said Ethan was becoming confused about who was in charge, said I was spoiling him with too much sugar and too many toys. She wants to reduce the visits, Ryan admitted in July. Says once a month is enough. Ryan, no. We had an agreement. I know. I told her no. But Mom, it's making my marriage really hard. She barely speaks to me anymore. She sleeps in the guest room. She's angry all the time. That's not my fault. That's her choice. She's choosing to be angry because she can't control this situation anymore. I know, he said quietly. I'm starting to see that. In August, things came to a head. Ryan called me on a Tuesday night. He sounded shaken. Mom, I need to tell you something. And you have to promise not to react. What happened? Vanessa found the voicemail, the one Ethan left you. I'd saved a copy of it and she went through my phone and found it. And she's telling me it's fake. That you coached him or something. That there's no way he would have said those things unless you put him up to it. Ryan, that's insane. How would I have coached him when I hadn't seen him in months? I know, but she's spiraling. She's saying if I don't stop the visits with you, she's going to file for divorce and take Ethan. My blood ran cold. She's threatening to leave you because you let our son see his grandmother? Yeah, and Mom, I don't know what to do. I don't want to lose Ethan. If we divorce, she'll get primary custody. She's his primary caregiver, and she'll make sure I never see him, and she'll definitely make sure you never see. This was it, the ultimatum. Choose her or lose everything. What do you want to do? I asked carefully. I don't know. I love her, or I thought I did. But lately, I don't even recognize her. She's so angry, so controlling. It's like everything has to be her way, or she punishes everyone around her. And I'm tired, Mom. I'm so tired. Have you considered couples counseling? She won't go. Says I'm the one who needs therapy, not her. Ryan, I'm going to say something, and I need you to really hear me. This isn't about me anymore. This is about you and Ethan. You can't live like this, walking on eggshells, letting her control every aspect of your life. That's not a marriage. That's a hostage situation. But if you leave, you fight for custody. You document everything, the control, the manipulation, the threats. You show the court that she's not stable, that she's using your son as a weapon. I can't do that to Ethan. A divorce would destroy him. You know what will destroy him more? Growing up watching his father be controlled and abused by his mother, learning that love means control, that family means manipulation. Ryan, you're teaching him right now what relationships look like. What do you want him to learn? Silence. Long, heavy silence. I need to think, he finally said. Take all the time you need. But Ryan, whatever you decide, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. 2 weeks later, Ryan called again. I asked Vanessa to leave, temporarily. To give me space to think. She refused, so I left. I'm staying at a hotel. Ethan's with her. How is he? Upset, confused. Vanessa's telling him it's my fault, that I'm choosing you over our family. And what are you telling him? The truth. That Mommy and Daddy are having problems, but it has nothing to do with him. That I love him, that we'll figure it out. Good. Keep telling him that. Mom, I need to ask you something. If I file for divorce, will you testify? About what? She did? The alienation? The lies she told Ethan? Yes, whatever you need. He filed in September. Vanessa immediately filed a counterclaim seeking full custody, citing me as a negative influence that Ryan refused to protect Ethan from. She painted me as manipulative, overbearing, the source of all their marital problems. The custody battle was brutal. It lasted 7 months. Both sides hired psychologists. Both sides presented evidence. Vanessa's lawyer tried to make me look like an obsessed grandmother who'd driven a wedge between a happy couple. But we had evidence too. The voicemail. Text messages where Vanessa admitted she wanted me out of the picture. Testimony from Ryan's friends who'd witnessed Vanessa's controlling behavior. And most damning, the court-appointed child psychologist interviewed Ethan. The psychologist's report, filed in February 2022, was clear. Ethan displays signs of anxiety related to loyalty conflicts between his parents. He expresses fear of angering his mother but also demonstrates a strong, healthy attachment to his paternal grandmother. The child's well-being would be best served by shared custody and continued regular contact with his grandmother without interference from either parent. The judge, a man in his 60s named Robert Chang, issued his ruling on March 8, 2022. This court finds that both parents love their child and want what's best for him. However, the evidence suggests that the mother has engaged in parental alienation regarding the paternal grandmother. While parents have the right to make decisions about who has access to their children, those decisions must be in the child's best interest, not based on personal animosity or desire for control. He awarded joint custody, 50-50, week on, week off, and he included a specific provision. The child shall maintain regular contact with his paternal grandmother, Helen Carter. Neither parent shall interfere with this relationship or speak negatively about the grandmother to the child. I was sitting in the courtroom when he read that provision. Ryan grabbed my hand. We both cried. After the ruling, things slowly began to heal. Ryan moved into his own apartment. On his weeks with Ethan, I saw my grandson 3 times a week, Saturdays, Sundays, and Wednesday evenings. On Vanessa's weeks, I didn't see him, but Ryan made sure Ethan called me every night. Vanessa followed the custody order. She had to, but she did it with minimum grace. She never spoke to me, never acknowledged my existence. When she dropped Ethan off at Ryan's, she'd wait in the car if she saw my car there. But Ethan flourished. Without the tension and loyalty conflicts, he became a happier kid. He did well in school, made friends easily, and he loved having time with me. By the summer of 2022, Ryan started dating again. A woman named Amy he met through work. She was kind, warm, and crucially, she had no problem with me. She invited me to Ethan's birthday party that she helped Ryan throw. She asked about my week. She treated me like family. "Your son chose well this time," Patricia told me when I updated her. We'd stayed in touch. Become friends, even. Amy sounds like a keeper. She was right. Ryan and Amy got serious quickly. In December 2022, Ryan called to tell me they were engaged. "Mom, I want you at the wedding." Front row. "No negotiation. You're my mother. You belong there." "What about Vanessa? Won't that upset her?" "I don't care what upsets Vanessa anymore. She gets to control her life, not mine. You're coming to my wedding." The wedding was in April 2023. Small ceremony. Close friends and family. I sat in the front row, right next to Ethan, who was the ring bearer. Ryan and Amy wrote their own vows. When Ryan promised to honor both the family I came from and the family we're building, he looked directly at me. I cried. Happy tears this time. Ethan, now 8 years old, gave a little speech at the family reception. "I'm really happy my dad found Amy. She's nice and she makes good pancakes, and I'm happy Grandma's here because weddings should have grandmas." "That's just a fact." Everyone laughed. I laughed hardest of all. Now, 2 years later, things are stable. Good even. Ryan and Amy are happy. Ethan splits his time between his parents and seems well adjusted. I see him regularly. We still have our Saturday traditions, plus dinners and occasional sleepovers. Vanessa remarried last year to someone in her family's social circle, someone with money and connections. She seems content in her new life, and she's finally stopped fighting Ryan about custody arrangements. They've found a workable co-parenting relationship, civil, if not friendly. I don't hate Vanessa. I used to think I did, but mostly I just feel sad for her. Sad that she saw love as a competition. Sad that she thought controlling her husband meant winning. Sad that she hurt her own child just to prove a point. But I'm grateful too. Grateful that Ryan found his strength. Grateful that the legal system recognized parental alienation for what it was. Grateful that Ethan knows, without question, that his grandmother loves him. Last month, Ethan asked me something while we were baking brownies. "Grandma, why didn't I see you for so long when I was little?" I'd been dreading that question, knowing it would come eventually. "Your mom and I had some disagreements," I said carefully, "about grown-up stuff, and for a while, that meant we couldn't see each other as much as we wanted to. But you never stopped loving me?" "Never. Not even for 1 second." He nodded, satisfied. "Then, good, because I never stopped loving you either. Even when Mom said you didn't want to see me, I knew it wasn't true. I knew you'd come back." "How did you know?" "Because grandmas don't stop loving their grandkids. That's just how it works. Out of the mouths of children." He understood what Vanessa never could. Love isn't something you control or ration or use as a weapon. It's something you give freely, and when you do, it comes back to you in ways you never expected. I'm 67 now. 3 years since that voicemail that changed everything. 3 years since I stopped accepting silence and started fighting for my grandson. Ethan is almost 9. He's in 3rd grade. He loves science and soccer and video games. He still calls me every night when he's at his mom's house, brief conversations, but enough. And on the weeks he's with Ryan, I see him constantly. We're making up for lost time. Ryan is happy in his marriage to Amy. They're talking about having a baby. Ethan is excited about being a big brother. I'm excited about having another grandchild, and this time, I'll be there from the beginning. Amy has already made it clear. I'm not just welcome, I'm essential. Kids need grandparents. She told me once, My grandma was my favorite person growing up. I want Ethan and our baby to have that. Some people might say I should have just accepted Vanessa's boundaries, that I was wrong to fight. That parents have the right to decide who's in their children's lives, and grandparents should respect that. But here's what I learned. Boundaries are one thing, cruelty is another. If Vanessa had said, "Helen, I'd prefer if visits were once a month instead of once a week," I would have compromised. If she'd said, "I need you to check with me before buying Ethan gifts," I would have respected that. Those are boundaries. But she didn't set boundaries. She erected walls. She told a child his grandmother didn't love him. She blocked every form of contact. She tried to erase me completely. That's not protection. That's alienation. And children suffer from alienation just as much as they suffer from any other form of emotional abuse. I don't regret fighting. Not for 1 second. Because that voicemail, that 47-second recording of my grandson crying for me, that was a cry for help. And what kind of grandmother would I be if I'd ignored it? Do I wish things had been different? Of course. I wish Vanessa had seen me as an ally instead of a threat. I wish she'd understood that a child can love multiple people without it diminishing anyone. I wish Ryan had found his voice sooner. But wishing doesn't change the past. Only action does. And I acted. I hired a lawyer. I went to court. I fought for my place in my grandson's life. And I won. Not because I'm special, but because I refuse to disappear quietly. If you're listening to this and you see yourself in my story, if you're a grandparent who's been cut off, blocked, told you're the problem, when you know you're not, please hear me. You are not crazy. You are not toxic. You are not imagining things. Parental alienation is real. It's happening to thousands of grandparents, and it's devastating. But you have more power than you think. Document everything. Save voicemails, texts, emails. Keep a journal of every attempted contact and every rejection. If your grandchild reaches out to you in any way, save that evidence. Consult a family law attorney who specializes in grandparents' rights. Laws vary by state, but many states recognize that children benefit from relationships with loving grandparents. You may have legal recourse. Join a support group, online or in person. You need people who understand, who won't tell you to just respect their boundaries when those boundaries are hurting a child. And most importantly, don't give up. Even when it feels hopeless. Even when you've been blocked and ignored and told you're the problem. Don't stop loving that child. Don't stop trying. Because children remember. And one day, maybe sooner than you think, they'll come looking for you. My grandson came looking for me at 6 years old, with a secret phone call and 47 seconds of courage. He reminded me that love finds a way, even through walls, even through blocks and alienation, and lies. He saved me as much as I saved him. Tell me in the comments, have you been cut off from a grandchild? How did you cope? Are you fighting for visitation, or have you decided to wait? Your story matters. You matter. If this resonated with you, please subscribe. I share stories like this, real stories about real people navigating impossible family situations, because none of us should have to carry this pain alone. And remember, loving your grandchild isn't optional. It's not something that can be blocked or erased or controlled. It exists whether or not you're allowed to express it. Hold on to that. Hold on to the love. It will guide you through even the darkest times. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being part of this community. And remember, saying, "I won't disappear quietly" doesn't make you difficult. It makes you a warrior for the child you love.